In this video I'll go through the Korg Radias. This video may be useful to somebody who's interested in buying the Korg Radias, somebody who's new to the Korg Radias, or somebody who had it a while and who may not know of all its features. So here we just have the default factory patch harness power. I have a little Windows app called Soundcard Oscilloscope running, so you can see how the wave actually looks in an oscilloscope. And that's free, by the way, free download. Now I'm going to go up to an init patch on P01. Okay, so here we just have a regular saw. You can see, and here we have a square, triangle, and a sign. Let's go back up to the saw. So now let me just quickly go into something that some users of the Korg Radias may not know of, that it actually has a sub-oscillator, a third oscillator. Besides the regular oscillator 1 and 2, if you go over to the amp section and turn on wave shaping and turn on the edit button and start tweaking the knob, and it will automatically jump to the page, which is page 08 amp page. So you can see there the drive wave shape is set to wave shape. Now if you then scroll down, you can see the wave shape is set to decimator as default for a new patch. However, if we change that to what is called sub-oscillator saw, it will produce a third oscillator saw 1 octave lower than oscillator 1. The same with sub-oscillator square, try, and sine. So let's try and listen to that. Now right now I have only oscillator 1. Now if we wanted to listen to oscillator 2, also saw, we can turn 1 down and 2 up. So now it's just oscillator 2. We can tune that a little off, number 1. See on the panel here, it's tuned off a little, and then we can turn off on both of them. So a nice detuning effect. But now let's try and hear only the third oscillator alone. And let's try and tune that in with 1 and 2. So now we have 3 saw oscillators running at the same time. No filter, there's no effects. Try and turn in a little low frequency modulation. We could then turn on some chorus. Phaser, and how about a little delay? Not bad, just 3 oscillators, little low frequency oscillation, and a few effects. So we can do the same thing if we choose square. Here's our regular square. Is oscillator 2 with a square. Those two together, oscillator 2 detuned a little bit. And let's go over here to wave shape. Now if you have edit mode on, if you change any knobs, it will jump to the panel page automatically. You can see right now it's on page 6. So if I start to change the depth, it will quickly jump to page 8, and then we can just scroll one down, turn the program value dial over to square. Now we'll try and hear that sub-oscillator square alone. There we go. Turn up number 1, number 2. There we go. 3 oscillators, square oscillators. Now we can then change the pulse width on the first one. Put a little low frequency oscillation. Turn on the phaser. Chorus. And some delay. Alrighty. And we can do the same with a triangle. This oscillator 1, oscillator 2, oscillator 3. Turn the depth knob over on the amp section here. It'll jump to the amp page. Go one down. Turn the program value dial over to triangle. Turn in oscillator 1 also and 2. Okay. And finally with a sine, just oscillator 1, oscillator 2, oscillator 3, turn the depth knob, go one down on the edit page and choose sub-oscillator sine. Turn in the other 2. See, that already has a little modulation by itself, those 3. Okay, not bad. Alrighty, so that was about the sub-oscillators. So you actually have 3 oscillators in the radius. Well, actually, oscillator 1, if you turn the oscillator modulation to Unison, there's actually 5 oscillators within oscillator 1. We'll get to that a little later. Right now, another advanced feature I want to show you here is wavefolding. Actually, Radias has wavefolding. It is a distortion type effect similar to a clip, except that the clipped part will be inversed and put either down or up back into the audible sound wave. So again, to make sure we have the wave shaping on, turn the knob, and if you have the edit button on, it will, the panel edit page will jump to, automatically jump to the page, the amp page. And here we'll go down and choose, instead of the sub-oscillators we played with earlier, I'll go up, go back and choose one that's called octave saw. But what it really is, it's wavefolding. So it's like another wave shape hot clip, except here again that it's going to take the clipped part and put back, inverse and put back down. So let's see how that sounds. Again here, right now I only have oscillator 1 on, just a regular saw. Alrighty, now let's try and turn this effect on. So the depth knob is now the threshold where the wave is going to be clipped, and the clip part will then be inversed and put back down or up into the wave. And of course we can combine that with saw from oscillator 2. Now unfortunately you can't have two wave shift types at the same time, otherwise we could have turned in a third saw oscillator. That would have been nice. But anyways, let's try and turn a low frequency modulation. Phaser. And play. And the chorus. All right. Let's try that with a square. Let's see how it does with a square. Here's a regular square wave. We'll see what happens now when I try and clip it and put the clip part down. See, it actually won't really do that with a square. I'll just turn it up in volume a little bit. So it doesn't. This effect doesn't really work with a square. What about a triangle? Yeah, it works fine with a triangle. Kind of turns it into a metallic sound, almost like ring modulation. This triangle also from oscillator 2. Okay, what about a sine? Okay, we have a regular sine. Now we turn in the wavefolding. Yeah, it definitely works there. Turn in oscillator 2 and a sine there. Without actually using electro 1 or 2. Phase also. Delay. Vintage analog sounds, I think. Okay, so that was about wave folding, but there's lots of other wave shaping types. So again, if the edit screen page has gone away from the type, just change the knob and it will quickly jump to the page where you can set the wave shape type. And let's see, go back to the first one, the original one. That's if you start a new patch, it's called decimator. So what it'll do, let's actually go back up to saw here. It will turn a nice, smooth 16-bit wave into less bits. So see the steps there. And as you hear, this could be useful for creating like 80s style arcade sound effects. See how that works with a square. Triangle. With a sine. And another wave shape effect we have is the hard clip. So it's like the wave shaping, wave folding, except that here the signal that is across the threshold is just simply cut off. Back up to the saw. Now we're gonna move the threshold and cut off part of the saw, and as you can see, as we continue here, it will pretty much turn it into a square. So with this effect here, we can make a waveform that is anywhere in between a saw and a square. So as you might guess, this effect probably not do much on a square alone. Yep, just turn up the volume. Triangle though. It will again kind of turn it into a square, so you can here make a waveform that is anywhere in between a triangle and a square. What about a sine? Regular sine. And again the same thing, it will eventually turn it into a square, but so with this, and using the 4 basic waveforms from Oscillator 1, you have pretty much take those 4 and times 127 possibilities. That is a lot of different waveforms. So with this, you have a lot of possibilities for each of the 4 basic waveforms. You actually have 127 waveforms in between. Another type of wave shape is one that's called multi-tri, which sends a triangle through the signals. So a multi-tri will send a triangle through the signal. So let's see here, we have a sawtooth. So now we're going to send a triangle through with it. clip would pretty much turn anything into a square. As you can see, this one will eventually turn at least the saw into a triangle. So you have another 127 saw try possibilities here. Let's try this with a square, see if it had any effect. Nope, not much. Turn it into noise. Otherwise I'll just up the volume. So what about sending a triangle through a triangle? Probably also just change the volume up, maybe not. It will actually do something here. Okay, what about a sine? Sending a triangle through a sine. Triangle here, which we can then combine, for instance, with a sine on oscillator 2. Here's some modulation without having any LFO on, because that's control 2 that controls that. But we could try and turn a little in. Interesting. With a delay effect. With a chorus effect. Or with a phase effect. Yeah. Again, I think this kind of makes some pretty cool and vintage analog sounds. And then there's another wave shaping called multi-sine. So that will send a sine signal through. Let's go back up to saw. Here we have a regular saw, nothing except oscillator 1. So I will send a sine through that saw. So you can see it turning all the way up, pretty much just produces a kind of distorted sine. Or higher pitch sine, but with some noise in it. What about the square? I won't do much there again. Just up the volume, turn it into some noise. Triangle, sending a sine through a triangle. There you can get all kind of interesting waveforms. And what about a sine, sending a sine through a sine? Yeah, lots of possibilities with this. Alrighty, another type we have. We've been through these. And then finally there is one that's called pickup. That will simulate an electromagnetic pickup. So here we have, let's go back up to saw. So we have nothing else in here, just a regular saw. Now we'll turn pickup effect on. from oscillator 2. Modulation going on by combining oscillator 1 with the pickup effect and oscillator 2. And then we can turn up some LFO modulation 2. Phaser. Alrighty. So that was on the saw. Let's now try it with a square. Square here, we have a regular square. Let's turn on the pickup effect. Okay, and what about on a triangle? Here we have a regular triangle. With the pickup effect. Turn on some pure oscillator 2 triangle. Okay, and finally on a sine, pickup effect on a sine. With some pure sine from oscillator 2. The last wave shaping type is called level boost, but in my opinion it's really not that interesting, as all it will do is boost the signal, which is the same as turning up the volume. And that's the same for all the regular waveforms. But more interesting is that with the 4 basic waveforms, saw, square, triangle, and sine, if you have oscillator modulation set to waveform, for saw, turning the control 1 will modulate the saw waveform. If you turn all the way over, it will actually just produce a saw 1 octave higher. but anything in between, you have some interesting waveforms. Now for square, Control 1 will instead choose the width of the pulse. So all the way over, no sound. So with oscillator 1 set to square and using Control 1, you have pulse width waveforms. For triangle, it's back to waveform modulation. Sine, same thing. So of course this we can then turn in a sine from oscillator 2. Go to wave shape type and turn in a third sine. Turn on the delay effect. Another type of oscillator modulation we have with the 4 basic waveforms is cross modulation. Here we just have a saw without any cross modulation. Now we start, and it will. What cross modulation will do is it will use the waveform of oscillator 2 to modulate the frequency of 1, the carrier. Just oscillator 1 sounding, you can then turn in the actual pure sound of oscillator 2 also. And more from the sub-oscillator. So that is if you, now you have a range of options here. You can modulate a square into the saw. Here we have the regular saw again, modulated with a square. Turn some of the pure square from sine and oscillator 2 into it. And what about modulating a triangle into a saw? Here's the regular saw again, now modulated with a triangle. Turn some of the pure sounds of oscillator to the triangle again. What about a sine into modulate a sine with the frequency of the saw 1. Yeah, the saw 1 is pure, modulated with the sine. Of course, we can do it the other way around. So instead, modulate a saw into a sine. Here we have the sine alone. Now modulate it with a saw. And then there's another modulation called Unison. Now what that does, it will actually invoke 5 oscillators within oscillator 1 to play as one, and the control 1 knob will then be the pitch distance. Now let's hear it with turned all the way down. Sine. Start to detune them. So this one will not take off polyphony, whereas wave shaping types will. So here we have 5 waveforms spread out a little bit. Let's choose. So now from oscillator 2, more saw. Actually have 7 saw oscillators. Control 2 for the Unison, instead of controlling LFO 1 modulation intensity, it will be the phase at note on for the Unison. And you can do this for any of the, that was for saw, we can do it for square. 5 oscillators within oscillator 1. Triangle. And sine. And then this, finally, there is variable phase modulation. It uses an internal sine wave at a harmonic integer multiple of oscillator 1 fundamentals to modulate the phase of the oscillator. And that will produce metallic overtones. It means the waveform will remain static while overtones are added. So let's try and just have a sawtooth without any effect. Now let's try and turn up the depth of the modulation. Control 2 will then be harmonics. The frequency of the modulator as a multiple harmonic of oscillator 1 fundamental. So here we're turning in more harmonics. And we can again do this with the 4 basic waveforms, square, square alone, with some modulation depth, harmonic, triangle, some modulation depth, some harmonic, with a sine, some modulation depth, some harmonics, with some pure sine from oscillator 2, some sub-oscillator 3 sine, some phase effect, delay effect, chorus effect. Yes, lots of possibilities. Finally, there is the other oscillator 1 types. These 5 over here on the right side in oscillator 1 section: formant, noise, synth, PCM, drum, PCM, and audio in. Now when you use these 5, you cannot do any oscillator modulation, unfortunately. So formant is a tonal character reminiscent of the human voice. Control 1 will then be the width, frequency components equivalent to changing the shape of the mouth. Whereas Control 2 will adjust the mix balance between low pass and high pass filters and that will vary. Whereas Control 2 will change the offset, moving the entire frequency spectrum up or down, equivalent to changing the size of the mouth. And that, of course, can be combined with wavefolding. So if we go back to changing the depth knob, you'll remember the panel screen edit panel screen will jump to the amp section where we can set it to the wavefolding called octave saw. And then we have noise. Control 1 will then be the resonance and boost pitch component within the noise. And Control 2 will then adjust the mix balance between low and high pass filters, and that will vary the brightness of the sound. I don't know if wavefolding will do much good here, I don't think so. Just increase the volume. But then you have Synth PCM, where you can choose from 64 built-in waveforms taken from acoustic instruments and synthesizers. Control 1 will do nothing, Control 2 will select the waveform. And if you have the edit panel page on, while you change Control 2, you can actually see which waveform is used. The first one is electronic piano, stage piano. Here you can do wavefolding. And you could, of course, combine that with a oscillator 2. Delay on. Chorus. And fade. And let's change it to another synth PCM sample waveform. Organ, guitar, slap bass, string. Oh, let's turn oscillator 2 down, by the way. Wavefolding doesn't work that good on strings. Chorus, chord pad. But anyway, you have 64 different sampled waveforms, including some basic synthesizer waveforms, sine, and others. Now there's one here at the end. It's called endless. Anyways, you can do the same with 128 different drum and percussion sounds by setting it to drum PCM, bass, this one. Use Control 2 to change the sound. Control 1 will then actually change the pitch. So you have 128 different waveforms combined with Control 1 pitch. So you have thousands of possibilities here. And finally, the last one is audio in. I will actually make a separate video going over that, and that can be used for a lot of fun things, including running a drum machine through the radius and using the radius as an effect processor. Like I said, that will be in a separate video.